Yep, he's dissolved, and they're right in front of a window, making it not doing a very good job at hiding it, honestly.
That must be little Colin, Rod's son. He looks unwell. Was that him I heard moaning in pain inside the trailer?
His eyes are like bright red.
That's Rod's wife. I heard her calling him from the other side of that door that just closed behind him. She looks worn out with those dark circles under her eyes. She looks like she hasn't slept in days. Rod seems upset and worried. What's going on in there? From here, it looks like one of those metal boxes for Danish butter cookies. And judging from how worn it looks, I'd say that it's been reused over and over again.
You can use containers where you can find them around here, right? How do I leave? Do I hit escape? Nope. Space. Oh, how it's... There we go, down there, and there's the window pane.
It's hard to see clearly through all the grime on this glass. On the other side is the room where Rod and his family have locked themselves away.
So you can hit spacebar to help highlight spots you can interact with. Alright, seems pretty straightforward that he's sick, as you'd expect him from the sort of setup we had there. Probably should have a window, some sort of curtain drawn over that window so he doesn't get spotted immediately.
A bunch of shacks, trying valiantly to stay standing in a sea of mud and trash. I can't imagine how it must be to live in one of them.
I'm getting the feeling that we're getting visions of the future where the ambulance shows up over here and they shoot up the entire building. Maybe even something explodes inside of it or something. And that's why there's a giant crater missing out of the side of the object. We can't go to the right, only down.
With my foot in this condition, I wouldn't get very far. I think it would be better to go back inside the trailer and try to take care of this wound. It doesn't look too good.
That may be the way to go. Alright. This game has double click for fast travel, thankfully. So if you note, there's not going to be a lot of any long scenes of me backtracking where I'm slowly walking through a series of scenes and walking across the screen over and over again, because I can just skip ahead by double clicking on the door.
It's no use. It won't open. I heard Rod bolt it from inside.
I was hoping that I could talk to somebody about the whole foot situation. Am I missing a detail in this room? Since apparently we can just press a button to find spot. Oh, hello.
A pile of frying pans, plates, and dirty silverware waiting to be washed. Ugh, this place smells like a cheap, greasy spoon. It's an unframed snapshot, stuck directly on the wall of the room. 2 adults and a child smiling at the camera in what looks like an enormous yard. One of them is Rod, my host.
So, we can find color around the room, but I need to figure out how to actually fix my foot. Maybe I just go back to my bed? Whoa.
Well, look at that. When I pulled back the sheet, part of it got torn on the spring sticking out of the bed frame. I hope Rod doesn't notice. The bed frame under the mattress is so battered that one of the springs is turned into a very sharp protruding object.
Well, it looks like we got ourselves our first shank, but I can't pick it up. Never mind. Thought it might be usable as a weapon. Might still show up later as a weapon for all we know.
A depressing sight. A damp mattress on a bed frame and dirty, rumpled sheets. This is the bed where I've been convalescing all this time.
Anything in my inventory? So there's no bed sheets in my inventory right now. Alright, I need to figure out how to bandage my foot. Okay, so it feels like we've exhausted the dialogue options, or we've exhausted interactions in this room. Nothing else seems to do anything, so let's look at our inventory. The notebook seems like something I could hand over for a conversation piece, or maybe somebody will be looking for it at some point. So the pot lid's the only thing that feels like a puzzle mechanic. So the question is there anything I can use a pot lid on? I could put it on the pot, but that seems pointless. I put the pot on the pot.
I don't see anything here that could be covered.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, you put the lid on the pot. Congratulations. That seems like it wouldn't accomplish anything. Oh, well, that's kind of obvious, isn't it? Hello, thing that's shaped vaguely like a pot in general shape. Though I don't necessarily know why I'd be doing it, but I'm looking for an interaction spot at this point.
Let's see. I could swear that the lid is just the right size for this drum. Perfect.
What's going on? This damn shithole is going to be the end of us.
Not very bright, is he?
Damn it! What's going on?
I'll have to do this quickly, before this man stops coughing. Well, let's see what we have here. Ugh. I don't see anything but rotten food, tattered clothes, and trash.
Can't even breathe in this
Wait a
hellhole
minute.
anymore.
It seems like there's also a small billfold with a bunch of credit cards. What the hell is this guy doing with so much plastic money?
They mean to kill us all.
He was just talking about closing deals and stuff like that.
Someone improvised a bonfire inside that drum. Now that I've covered the top, the smoke coming out of the bullet hole on the side is concentrated, making it act like a chimney.
What's going on?
Wait, can I not grab the pot lid back up? I'm just gonna leave him like this? That's not very nice. Wow. Dude offers a bunch of explanations to a confused man, and I immediately rob him and smoke him out of his location, apparently. Now I got a credit card. Do I use it to unbolt the door? What else could I use that for?
These are the charred and misshapen remains of a bank card. I doubt it can be used in this condition, assuming there's anyone capable of finding a cash machine working.
Alright, let's see if I can use it.
Let's see if I can do this. Good. The mechanism gave way on the first try, but the card is trashed. For my sake, I hope that guy outside never finds out about this.
Seems like so far he consistently wipes things out the moment he tries to use them. But he shouldn't be surprised that the guy has money. He was talking about how, like, in his last day before everything went bad, he was closing a big deal or something.
Not just yet. I'm grateful to Rod for his hospitality, but these old shoes don't look very clean. It won't take more than a few hours for the wound on my foot to turn really ugly. And the last thing I need now is a serious infection. At first glance, I'd say those old loafers are too big for me, but Rod offered me any clothes I might need, and I don't see anything else around here.
So we need to clean up his shoes. What, with like whiskey or something? We could mix the pillow with whiskey, for example, and clean out the shoes.
A high-proof whiskey, and by the looks of it, an expensive one. The bottle was hidden in Rod's closet. I suppose that despite his apparent strength, that man needs to escape his problems from time to time.
Or he just really likes whiskey.
White, folded, with a scent of fabric softener. It's sad, but this pillowcase is the nicest thing I've seen since I woke up.
Sometimes it feels like healthy drinkers don't exist in video games. Everybody who has any sort of alcohol has always got to be immediately framed as like, escaping their problems and abusing something. Can I mix these?
For now, it's just a pillowcase. I don't see any point in soaking it in liquor.
Well, I thought we'd stick it in the boots. How about this?
I'm not going to waste the whiskey on this. That would only make a puddle in the closet, and those shoes wouldn't be much cleaner than they are now.
Alright. So, I just thought alcohol, maybe, but not quite. So Can I use the pillowcase on my foot? Is that an option? Or the bed?
Why change the sheets? I've been lying there for months, so I'm hoping I won't have to use that bed again for a long, long time.
Alright, we need to figure out what I can use the sheets on. Can I use the sheets on my foot? Let's get it into open line of sight. Like, can I wrap my feet? Would that help? They're clean, at the very least. No, we don't really get the option right now. Alright, so if I can't use the pillowcase directly on the bed or on myself, then is that what this sharp point's for?
Okay, let's see how well this protruding bed spring can cut.
That was some really fast improv bandages. We've been awake for like 10 minutes and we already got the history of the apocalypse, robbed a homeless man, and then made bandages out of a pillowcase from scratch. That was fast. Alright, where do I put the bandages? Can't put them on my own feet. Other feet? Old shoes?
It's a good idea, but these bandages are still no use to me. If I use them like this, the wound in my foot would end up getting infected anyway.
So I can't put them in the shoes. Okay. Do I soak them in whiskey?
I'll use a little of what's in the bottle to soak the bandages.
There we go. Now I have soaked bandages. And he said it was a good idea.
Here goes. I'll use the bandages on my foot. I hope the alcohol is enough to keep it from getting infected. Let's pray this improvised remedy doesn't lead to a delightful case of gangrene.
What bastard put a lid on the drum? You tried to suffocate me, you bunch of assholes!
I think that guy out there just discovered the reason for a sudden coughing fit.
Some coward in this shithole wanted to suffocate me! Me! Who was it? Who was it? Come back here so I can give you back your lid, you son of a bitch!
Did you hear that noise, Rod? What's going on out there?
I don't know. I'll go have a look. I think it's that poor drunk who's always hanging around the trailer. He's kicking up a fuss again. It's a good thing poor Colin can't hear his insults.
Don't ever say anything like that again, Rod.
I'm sorry, honey. I wasn't thinking.
Is Colin going deaf? Is that what you're saying? Uh-oh. Alright, so we still have the whiskey, but nothing else. Can I investigate? Also, yeah, the drunk outside, not the brightest type, is he? He's oblivious for a shockingly long time about what happened.
What are you doing here? Get out of here! You've no business being in this room!
Rod, I'm sorry. But what's going on?
Get out of here, Michael! You didn't see anything, understood? Out! Out! Excuse my outburst, Michael. I shouldn't have behaved that way. It's not like me. But this new world brings out the worst in all of us. It's just that I can't stand to see Colin suffer this way. So for your own good, please, stay away from this room.
Away? Why?
It's no use trying to hide it. You're bound to find out sooner or later. Colin is very sick, and the authorities claim his illness is highly contagious.
Highly contagious? Is he one of the dissolved?
Michael! I won't let anyone use that word in my house! Yes, Colin caught that damn disease.
Well, I hope the guy outside's very, very drunk, because we are talking too loud for somebody that's right outside the door to potentially overhear.
And what exactly does the disease consist of?
I don't know, Michael. No one really does. The only news is what the army brings us. They say the disease is highly contagious, and it's our duty to turn over all victims to the cleanup brigades. But no one has ever come back after being carried off in one of those ambulances. No one. So we can't let them take Colin. Do you understand?
Yes, of course I understand.
They say that all the victims are condemned, that there's no salvation for anyone, that at the end of their suffering and their trances lies certain death. I think that even the army is afraid of the victims. Really strange things happen around them, Michael. Things you wouldn't believe.
Things like warping into a different period of time?
What things happen around people infected with the disease?
Strange things with no possible explanation. In their trances, they go places, Michael. They bring back information. They know things. They talk to people who are no longer with us. And we've been living like this for weeks. The things that are happening around Colin are getting more and more confusing and hard to bear.
Talking to the dead? Jesus, this man's nerves are shot from the exhaustion and stress. But how did Colin get infected?
We don't know. No one knows how the disease is spread. The only thing we know is that the disease appeared after the catastrophe, and that it's spreading like wildfire.
So the Great Wave brought the dissolved with it?
Yes, but don't use that word again. Not in this house, anyway. It's so cruel and disrespectful. In effect, that's the only thing we know for sure about all this insanity. The Great Wave took everything from us and left us with this epidemic.
What's happening to Colin is terrible. If only there was something I could do.
Well, Michael, you can help us. I'm convinced that our finding you was no coincidence. You've got to help us.
But you said yourself that all the victims are condemned. What can I do?
No, all is not lost. In the camp, there are rumors of a cure. It seems that in the city, on the other side of the fence, the victims have access to a drug. But we can't get it here. And my contacts out there, well, let's just say they can't do anything to help.
So there's a drug that can cure them?
Yes, but they say that producing it takes a long time and is very expensive. And so it's reserved for city dwellers who can afford to pay for it. Get us that drug, Michael. I beg of you, please. Colin's time is running out.
Getting involved looks dangerous. I saw that shooting out there. There's also the possibility of infection.
Infection? Are you afraid for your life, Michael? Without our help, you'd be dead right now. Dead. Don't forget that. What's more, I could help you in return. I could help you get back what you lost. Don't you see?
Give me back what I lost? But you hardly know me, Rod.
I know the essential part, Michael. I know that you're a blankhead.
Blankhead? What the devil does that mean?
A blankhead is a person with no memories, who can't remember anything. It seems that the Great Wave had an enormous neurological impact on certain people, Michael. You're not the only one, or even the worst case. There are people who even forgot how to talk and how to walk after the explosion. Some ended up dying of starvation. They forgot what food looked like, how to chew it, even that eating was a necessity. You can consider yourself lucky. You still remember how to keep yourself alive. And that's the important thing. The natural recovery process is slow. It can take months, if at all. Listen to me, Michael. A man without memories is just a shadow. Or even worse, he's nobody. I still have some contacts out there. I was an important man in the municipal government. I could trace your name, your data in public records, your fingerprints. I could restore your whole life in the blink of an eye. But please, help us.
I'm grateful for your help, Rod, and for everything you people have done for me. But
listen to me, Michael. We know that it's possible that our son is condemned to die. In fact, my wife and I have everything prepared for when he leaves us. Our child is the only thing that keeps us holding on in the new world. Nothing would have any meaning for us without him. So if there is even the slightest chance of saving him, we are prepared to do whatever it takes. Please, Michael, help us. For God's sake, listen to him. He's just a child.
Rod, come in here, quickly!
Bring us that cure, and we'll help you get your life back. Colin is our only hope in this new world. Help us save our future, and I'll give you back your past. I promise you. Goodbye, Michael.
no, Rod, wait! Bring a drug? Is he out of his mind? That man wants me to put his son's life in my hands? I can barely remember who I am. And I probably wouldn't last more than a few hours out there. But Rod was right. A man without a past is nothing more than his shadow. He offered to help me get my life back, my memories. So if I want answers, I have only one possible course of action: to get that drug.
Well, alright then. We have a goal now. I see how it is, by the way.
Wait a minute. Before leaving, I should write down everything important I find out in this notebook. It might come in handy if, as Rod says, I'm one of the blankheads the Great Wave left in its wake.
Oh. So he might lose his memory more is what they're thinking. Interesting. So I've got my own journal. It's getting updated, but now with new information that isn't just old messages from him. Yep. Rod promised me he'd help me recover my past in exchange for the drug for the dissolved. So that's why there's a pencil here. It doesn't make sense at first, but now it suddenly makes sense that why this thing's here. They even have the note to have different handwritings, even though they're, of course, both fonts. I see how it is, though, Rod. Nobody can say dissolved in your house, but it's okay to call out my calamity-related name, which is Blankhead. Apparently that's not offensive. Alright, we have a few different directions here. We can go forward, left, or right. I'm not sure about forward. Probably not the worst time to just make a save.
Where do you think you're going, Rat? No one leaves here without a pass, unless it's with a bullet between the eyes.
Yes, and we can take care of that for you if you don't get away from that gate. Come on, stick your neck out. We could use a little entertainment tonight.
What's the matter, Rat? Cat got your tongue?
I think it's best if I get away from the gate. I'm afraid their threats are deadly serious. Sorry, guys. I'm not looking for trouble.
Huh. It almost feels like their accents were chosen at random. Alright, well they're pretty unambiguously shitty, in that they just immediately want to, fire on people. They're not even trying to preserve life at this point.
You say that I can only get out of the camp with a pass. Where can I get one?
Only soldiers and moles have passes for entering and leaving the camp. And you don't look like either one of those things. So get lost.
Well, sometimes we can make an exception, but only if the person who wants to leave is generous enough. And why exactly do you want to leave the refugee camp? What did you lose on the other side of the fence, Rat?
I have my reasons, and I don't think they're any of your business.
What's your tongue, you son of a bitch? If you want to hold on to it.
Don't push your luck. We could blow your head off right here, Rat. Try showing a little more respect.
Alright. Well, they say that... So moles have passes, and we just witnessed the death of a mole. I'm guessing that might be a location we could potentially get a pass if we want to. If we're careful enough. I mean, we've already stolen from people once, so that's set up for starters. Let's see. We should not mention the kid.
So, I've heard things are better in the city. Is that true?
Yeah, it could be. But that's none of your business. What do you care? If you're gonna die in this dump anyway.
Get the idea of leaving right out of your head. There's no place for rats like you on the other side of the fence. Unless you want to take a walk in Suicide Park. Do you want to become a Dark Star, Rat?
Now quit bothering us and get lost.
Oh. There's no question to be had about Dark Star. Okay. We'll have to see if we can pick up on that new terminology later.
Let's talk about something else.
I always thought it was weird how the characters always say that out loud. Like, clearly the option's there just to go backwards into the previous directory of dialogue options, but it always seems odd when the character actually talks about redirecting conversation out loud like that.
Why are you calling me Rat? Who's in charge here?
Well, did you hear that? It looks like we have a new kid on the block. Let me ask you something. If you people living in this camp crawl around in garbage, build your houses out of garbage, and eat garbage, what else are we going to call you?
We're in charge here, the ones with the rifles. And that's the only rule you need to know. See all those dark stains on the wall next to the barbed wire?
Yes, I see them.
They're the guts and brains of rats like you who forgot the golden rule. We call it the Wall of Shame. We're in charge here. That's pretty easy to grasp, isn't it? But sometimes one of you forgets. And that gives us some more motivation to make you better students. So, how's your memory?
My memory? That's funny. In another context, that would be an amusing question. But there's nothing amusing about these animals. My memory works well enough to remember who is in charge here. Don't worry.
You catch on fast, right? That's a good thing. Now get out of here.
Alright, yeah, they're pretty much unrepentant assholes and full-on, like, ignorant, self-entitled bigots that have guns and control the whole situation, so that's a good sign.
Nice motorcycle.
It is, isn't it? It's ours, so get anywhere near it, and you'll end up against that wall.
You don't have the authority to touch it, or point at it, or even look at it.
Dare to touch it with your grubby hands, and you're a dead man. I guarantee. Got it?
Okay, understood. I won't bother you anymore.
Get lost.
The extent to which they're full of themselves is exhausting. Can I talk to this guy? Maybe not.
Clean and well-maintained. This bike is without a doubt the best-looking object in the entire refugee camp. Although, that's not saying much, considering the disastrous condition of everything around me. A small military sentry box with no door, so narrow that the soldier on duty can hardly turn around inside.
Interesting. What purpose does the box serve in this situation? Ah.
Oh no! Here comes that sensation again. It's like floating in a dense liquid, while everything around me is transformed. Good God, I think I'm starting to lose my mind.
A post-apocalyptic police state with dark birds flying around? Am I playing Shardlight again? It's possible. Maybe I just forgot. Maybe this is secretly Shardlight.
The Wall of Shame. The soldiers at the gate called it. This wall looks like it's witnessed a good number of executions, to say nothing of murders. The barbed wire surrounding the camp is incredibly tangled, and the barbs look like they'd tear you to pieces. It looks like the army wanted to make it very difficult for anyone who might get the bright idea of trying to escape.
Alright, so we have two potential things that might be where the story goes as far as escape goes. We can try to get a pass, but there's also a motorcycle. I can almost see us just trying to steal that and take off. I guess we'll have to see. We'll just pick a side now. Wait. Left seems like the way to go. Yeah, that's the house. Is that the mole?
Although it looks hastily and shoddily built, it's surprising to see a brick-and-mortar building amid all these shacks in the refugee camp. No doubt this must belong to someone important, or with very good contacts in here.
So that must be the mole's house, judging by the cutscene we had earlier. If that's the case, that seems to be the place to go if I want to try to get a pass.
Oh no. It's starting again. It's amazing. Everything's changing. Everything.
Everything except for the topography.
Everything is mutating, and I haven't even moved. I don't understand. I don't understand anything.
Hopefully he's not saying that out loud or he's going to get taken away pretty quickly. Hello. Lots of oil drums. Oh, hello, little guy. Solitary inhabitant. Well, that narrows down whether or not there's any other people here.
Dented, dirty, and in pretty bad shape. In this corner of the camp, there are drums stored everywhere you look. Another brick-and-mortar building. That's the second one I've seen inside the camp. These structures stand out like mansions in the misery that dominates this place. Its owner must be someone important. Dozens of stored drums stacked chaotically. What the devil could be in them? And who might want to keep them here? Another camp inhabitant. He seems quite elderly. What's he doing here all by himself? Hello.
Hello, son. Would you like to get a little closer to the fire?
Thanks, mister. This is a rather isolated part of the camp. What are you doing here?
Well, I'm waiting. That's all. Just waiting.
Wonder if he's waiting for anything or just waiting in general, like for an end.
You're waiting. And what is it you're waiting for exactly?
Nothing in particular. The usual. For the fire to go out, for sunrise, for it to get cold again. I'm waiting for something to change, or for everything to stay as it is. I'm just waiting. You're too young to understand.
It's starting to get cold. Where's your tent? Or your trailer?
Yes, I had a tent once. They issued me one when I decided to enter the refugee camp after the Great Wave. The trailer was out of the question. They went to the families with the best contacts. You know how it is. Even in purgatory, some people are more equal than others.
You say that you decided to enter the camp. Does that mean that people weren't forced to come here?
Oh, no. Of course not. Why would they have to force us? The catastrophe hit the city hard. Those of us who had lost our homes were invited to come here. In principle, it was temporary, just until the authorities got the situation under control and started rebuilding. We used to have food, water, and a place to sleep.
But now it's more like a prison camp than a refugee center. What happened?
I don't really know. I guess something went wrong. The new housing they promised us never got built. And in the end, the army ceased control of the camp. The food ran out, and then the water supply. Nobody bothered to replace them. Seems like our lives didn't matter anymore.
I see.
In time, things in here started to get very ugly. There were riots, uprisings, and the army decided to close the gates of the camp without any notice. One day they decided that no one could enter or leave here. Well, actually, people still could. Enter, that is. Now, this is where anyone who gets in the way in the city ends up. Or anyone they don't know what to do with.
So, this has turned into something like a concentration camp.
That's right, son. That's exactly what it is. You know, it's funny. I remember when my father told us about the war in Europe, about all the persecution, the deportations, those overcrowded cattle cars. That all sounded to us like an old movie, an old horror movie. And look at us now. I guess some things never change. They just stop being visible for long enough for us to forget about them.
And where's your tent now?
It was stolen from me a while back. They fetch a good price on the black market now.
Stolen? But how could anyone...
You seem to be new in the camp, am I right? These things happen nowadays. It's best to take things as they come. The reality of the new world is very simple, son. The soldiers and the moles do whatever they like on this side of the fence. And the hunter and his men run the black market and all the dirty rackets. I suggest you memorize all this.
The hunter? I've exchanged a few words with him, but I hardly know him. Yes. The man who protected me during all the shooting. He seems like someone with good connections and some answers. Could he know anything about the drug for treating the dissolved? Do you know where I can find him?
You can find him in those barracks at the back. That's his... well, let's say it's his logistics office. Now, the hunter is very dangerous. Watch your step around him and his men. I happened to meet his father when he was young. He was a violent, degenerate son of a bitch. A real asshole. And I'm afraid his son has followed in his footsteps.
Let's talk about something else. So tell me, is there any way to get out of the camp?
I'm sorry, son. The only way to get out of this camp is to know someone important who can pull strings for you. Or to become a camp mole. Those traitorous scumbags have gate passes.
I see.
I'm not surprised you want to get out of this shithole. You've no doubt got something to do or someone to find out there. Well, they say things are better in the city, that there's order and that things are starting to function again. But who knows? Well, at least they have Reverend Blake and the consolation of Suicide Park.
Suicide Park? What's that?
Just a song that drifts into the refugee camp from the other side of the fence now and then. And the first dark stars come out to hang from the sky. We could sit and count them together, you and I, when the sun departs from Suicide Park. I'm sure you still have some hopes, some dreams. I'm afraid you're just too young to understand it.
Who's Reverend Blake?
He's a preacher who sometimes comes from the city to bring us a little comfort. Now, some people make jokes about him, but many of us believe that he's a prophet. You should hear him speak sometime. His words etch themselves deeply into your soul. That's why he has so many followers inside and outside the camp.
And what was the extent of the Great Wave's impact? How are things beyond the city?
Truth is, I couldn't tell you. In the first days, the chaos was so overwhelming that no one worried about anything beyond their own backyard. We victims were disoriented, cut off from the world. Then I came into the camp and news from far-off places doesn't reach this prison. I'm afraid you'd have to leave here to get the answer to that question.
I should be going on my way. Have a pleasant wait, mister.
You got to be wondering what the goal is of the military in this situation. They're not exploiting us for labor or any real resource, and it's got to be kind of a hassle to maintain this kind of group of people. So perhaps they're just trying to contain a group of humans so that they can avoid uprisings and resistances and stuff, just try to control a chunk of the population. But even then, seems like it's even not really cost effective. I'm kind of surprised they're not just wiping people out. It seems like those soldiers that we meet would be pretty happy just to start shooting everybody one by one, and there probably isn't a lot that we'd be able to do about it. But I guess the fact that they haven't must indicate that perhaps the government isn't as keen to that idea.